Well, greetings, brothers and sisters, and welcome to BBP. Today we're going to get a lesson from the Master on what it means to be non-judgmental in the face of sin. Now, Christians are constantly being accused of being judgmental when it comes to other people's behavior and hypocritical when it comes to our own. Now, a lot of this criticism is warranted and some of it isn't, but either way, Jesus gives us the perfect example of what it means to be non-judgmental around people and to show them the grace they deserve. His teachings in the New Testament are consistent throughout. And today we're going to take a look at a story that shows us so much of His mercy and His grace that He gives to everyone. This is a story in John chapter 8. We're going to be starting in verse 3. Then the scribes and Pharisees brought him a woman caught in adultery. And when they had set her in the midst, they said to him, "Teacher, this woman was caught in adultery in the very act. Now Moses in the law commanded us that such should be stoned. But what do you say?" This they said, testing him, that they might have something of which to accuse him. But Jesus stooped down and wrote on the ground with his finger as though he did not hear. Now let me stop here for just a second. If Jesus had ignored the law of Moses, his credibility would have been worthless. And if he had upheld the Mosaic law, then he wouldn't be compassionate and gracious. The Pharisees were trying to trip him up in a no-win situation. Now, the Bible doesn't tell us what Jesus was writing on the ground. I like to think that he was writing the names of the women that these men committed adultery with. Let's continue. So when they continued asking him, he raised himself up and said to them, "He who is without sin among you, let him throw a stone at her first." And again he stooped down and wrote on the ground. Then those who heard it, being convicted by their conscience, went out one by one, beginning with the oldest, even to the last. And Jesus was left alone, and the woman standing in the midst. When Jesus had raised himself up and saw no one but the woman, he said to her, "Woman, where are those accusers of yours? Has no one condemned you?" She said, "No one, Lord." And Jesus said to her, "Neither do I condemn you. Go and sin no more." Now, notice that Jesus didn't take sides here. He merely pointed out what he had previously taught. If you're going to go poking around in someone's eye, looking for a speck of dust, you better get the telephone pole out of your own eye first. In other words, we're not the judge and jury of anyone's behavior. Second point, Jesus does confront her sin, but he does it in a non-condemning way. Now, in this age we live in, the word sin is off limits in respect to anyone's lifestyle. In this postmodern world, sin doesn't exist. But the truth is, it does exist. And we have to be able to call sin what it is without condemning people in the process. Removing a speck from someone's eye is delicate surgery, and we have to be very careful how we approach this. Jesus tells this woman to go and sin no more. He's not saying to her, don't ever commit another sin the rest of your life. He's saying to her, stop committing the sin that got you here in the first place. Jesus was forgiving, gracious, compassionate, but all the while truthful about this woman's condition. Every one of us can learn something in this story to apply to our own lives, and I hope that you do too. Well, it's been my pleasure to be here with you this week. I'm going to be back next week with another new video, and I hope to see you right here. Until then, keep your eyes on Jesus and not on your troubles. Thank you.